Motion Refined Part 2. Go to the third folder in your file and you'll see that there is a basketball comp, or you can just look at the tabs in your timeline. And the basketball camp has a layer that has a basketball. The basketball currently has movement. Should it have movement? Shoot, I hope I didn't screw that up. Movement? No, it's fine. That's good. Yeah, I made the ball bounce for you. You didn't have to do it. So there it is. There's the bouncing ball. I just did a RAM preview and it goes ding, 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 ding. You would never see a basketball bounce like this. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to instantly fall from the sky at a constant rate, and it's not going to bounce and continue upwards at a constant rate. That is when we need to revisit our easing, right? So first keyframe, we're leaving as if the hand's letting go. What's going to happen? It's going to accelerate. It's going to succumb to gravity, and it won't reach terminal velocity in a basketball court, but maybe it would if you dropped it from a very tall building. So I'm going to right click on that keyframe and set it to easy ease out, because we're leaving that keyframe out of its house. Here we hit the ground. Should I change the keyframe nature? No, because the ball is going to just have energy, and as soon as it hits, that energy will be converted to a reactive energy, and it's going to bounce back up. Okay, boom. Do not change that middle keyframe. Now when I go to the top keyframe, we are succumbing to gravity, which means we are going to decelerate. So I want to easy ease in. Now if I watch this RAM preview, boing, doing, 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 feels much better. And that is how I would expect a ball to bounce, as long as my hand was up there continuing it to move at a rate of repetitive nature. If this ball is bouncing on its own, that means that it's going to end up having decay over time, and that this ball will eventually come to a rest. What I want you to do is I want you to try that decay. So right now our work area is set to just 20 frames, and this thing goes down and up and then it's done. You need to take that work area and extend it. And I want you to see if you can get this ball to come to close to a rest after 3 seconds. That's how long this comp is. So it should, you're not going to get quite to a rest. You could change the duration of the comp if you wanted to, make it a little bit longer. But you need to play with it. What becomes of this new keyframe once you want it to fall back down? How long is it going to take for that ball to fall back down? What does the ease look like at the top? Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's going to succumb to gravity, and it's going to decelerate. It's going to reach its maximum potential, and then it's going to accelerate again. So which keyframe assistant is that going to need to be? The last thing you should be thinking of is, how do I get this ball to look believably organic as it moves through the air? That would probably be motion blur. So I want you to figure out, how do I turn on motion blur for this layer, and how do I turn on motion blur for this comp? You got to do that and see if you can get this ball to feel good. If you're really feeling ambitious, maybe you even start the ball by bouncing on the corner and it comes in. Look at that. No ball is going to bounce that way. But maybe you got to play with that motion path, which would mean the nature of the keyframes would have to change as far as their path. So here's a handle. What does a handle need to look like if it's going to be bouncing? Right? It'd probably look something like, I don't know why I'm giving it away, but something like this. It's going to go doing, right? Doing. You got to make those sounds. Doing. The last thing I want to talk about that you might be noticing is that there are these two purple lines in your composition window. These are guides. Guides are accessible by using the ruler. The ruler is accessible by using the view menu. So rulers are Apple or Command R. So Command R gets rid of my rulers, Command R brings them back. Guides can be pulled out from the ruler just like not After Effects, Illustrator or Photoshop, so you can establish certain limits in this case, so I know where the ground is versus like the height of my ball at first. And if you ever want to get rid of them, you just go to View and uncheck Show Guides, and they're gone. If you don't like the ruler, just hide the rulers and you're back. Okay. So play around with the ball. You should be able to figure that one out. The last one is the yo-yo, and the yo-yo is a Photoshop file that I brought in that has a yo-yo. Zoom in here. A yo-yo highlight, and then the string. How do we get the yo-yo to go up and down, feel believable in its movement? Think about how yo-yo works. It decelerates and then accelerates back up again. But it also is spinning. So how do we get the yo-yo to move up and down, the highlights of the yo-yo to also move up and down, but for the yo-yo to spin and the highlights not to spin? This is tricky. What do you think? I'm going to give you one hint, and that hint is pre-composition, pre-compose. So if I took the yo-yo and the highlights, not the string, and I pre-composed, which is layer, pre-compose, and I call it yo-yo, it turns both those layers into a single layer, right? This is a representation of those two layers as a single layer. If I double click on it, oh gosh, now I have two yo-yo comps. That's going to get confusing. I'm going to go to my project here and call it yo-yo pre-comp. There we go. That's better. So now I have my yo-yo and my highlights. So my yo-yo could spin if I open up rotation here, but my highlights do not, because they're just hanging out separate. That means that back in my yo-yo master comp, that yo-yo could move up and down while the yo-yo is spinning without the highlights spinning with them. Why would I do this? Let's say that I'm going to go undo all this stuff. Let's just say I said, okay, yo-yo, you're going to spin, and you set a keyframe for R by hitting Option R, and at the very end of this thing, you've spun one full rotation. So there is the yo-yo spinning. I say, well, now I also want the yo-yo to go up and down. So let's set a keyframe for position. We're going to start it up here, and then we're going to come down to here. There's the movement. Okay, cool. There's my movement. And look, the yo-yo is moving. But my highlights are moving. Oh, yeah, well, I'm going to parent my highlights to the yo-yo. So I'm going to grab the pick whip of the parent, and I'm going to say, yo, go to the yo-yo, yo. And what I end up having is the highlights spinning and moving with the yo-yo. But highlights would not spin with the yo-yo because the nature of lighting and reflective objects, the highlight's going to stay in the same spot, and that is why you would pre-compose it. So I want you to work on the yo-yo so that you pre-compose the yo-yo, make the yo-yo move up and down using those sort of laws of physics with the keyframe of eases, okay? And then you got to figure out, how do I make that string interact with this properly? And you're going to have to come back to this one to make the string really work, because I want you to think about track mats. So you're going to finish this exercise partially. You're going to watch the other movies that come after this, Masks and Track Mats. And I want you to specifically come back to the yo-yo and see if you can get the string to appear and disappear by using a track mat. Parenting. Okay, so those are secret words you need to remember. How do you parent a track mat so that the string appears and disappears as the yo-yo goes up and down? You wouldn't want to parent the string to the yo-yo, whoops, because it'll just move up and down. Well, the string doesn't move up and down. It actually winds up, which means this part would not be visible, but this part would, and it would not be just moving up and down. It's being revealed over time. So come back to it later. Work on the yo-yo right now with the sort of the feel of the yo-yo going up and down and feeling like it pauses for a second. Maybe extend it by using the graph editor and make sure the highlight doesn't spin with it. And then after that, just save it, close it, go watch the other movies, work on the other exercises, and then come back with this as a challenge to see, can I fully execute this yo-yo and the string by implementing track mats. All right, have fun.